In this very moving and personal Big Talk, Speaker Salon alum Missy Shopshire is going to share her personal story so that you too can have the kind of success you desire. Enjoy this Big Talk.
Let's imagine I'm your fairy godmother, and I'm here to give you a choice between two life options. The first is the status quo. We could freeze your life just as it is, and you could settle into the safety and security of what you know right now. Or you could follow a dream, where your days are filled with excitement and adventure, but also with some uncertainty and risk. Which would you choose? I earned 12 free cars in Mary Kay. 7 of them were pink Cadillacs. When I earned my first pink Cadillacs, my peers got so excited they threw an epic celebration for me. I mean, it could have rivaled a royal wedding. But you gotta be wondering, what do you do with 7 pink cars? Well, my teenage boys drove them to high school. My husband drove one to work. One day, our neighbor Joe sidled up to the fence and tried to get in his head. Dude, how long are you going to drive the pink car? My husband said, Joe, it's like this. This car has an 8-cylinder engine, heated leather seats, a panoramic roof, and a killer Bose stereo. It comes with a free maintenance plan and no payment for the car or the insurance. I forget, Joe, what color is your wife's free car? The cars were perks because I was performing in the top 2% of a multi-billion-dollar cosmetic company, a position I held for more than 10 years. But despite my position as a top performer, I had a secret. I felt like a fraud. I was not a girly girl, and I could care less about cosmetics. I'd stumbled into this career at a time when I desperately needed money and a flexible schedule. But now, after so many years of working exclusively with women in a company where everything was pink, even the cars, I felt like I was drowning in an estrogen tsunami. Even the free cars started to lose their glow. The last time the dealership called to tell me a pink Cadillac had arrived for me, I didn't even tell anyone. I snuck over there on a Tuesday and asked for the keys like I was picking up a ham from the deli. I can see that you feel sorry for me right now because I had it so rough. But here's what I know. Having coached hundreds of professionals who also found themselves feeling misaligned with their work, I know that you can feel stuck at a very high level and it still feels like being stuck. 2 things happened that jarred me awake. My daughter and I both became very sick. At the tender age of 4, she battled stage 3 kidney cancer. Meanwhile, I contracted an infection that required 2 major surgeries, damaged my heart, and left me in a coma. It was brutal, but we both survived. And when I woke up, I knew I had one precious life to live, and the status quo was no longer an option. I was ready to find and follow my dream. And today I'm living that dream. I've built a thriving coaching practice, and I just published my first book. If there was one thing I could tell you about following your dream, it's that your imagination can ignite it. Few months after all this happened, my husband drove his pink car to a coffee shop where he made a random statement. He was fidgeting with those little coffee creamers, and he complained that they must have been designed for use on the space station. In the greatest flex of all time, the woman next to him turned and said, "We didn't have creamer on the space station. I had to drink my coffee black." When he came home and told me about her, I ran straight to Mother Google to find out who she was. It turns out her name is Anusha Ansari. She's just about the same age as me, and she grew up in the war-torn country of Iran. As a little girl, Anusha loved the stars, and she was fascinated by the night sky. So she started drawing pictures of rocket ships and told everyone she knew she was going to space. I've raised 3 kids, and at one time, all of them told me they were going to space too. But if it was an unlikely outcome for her, for my kids, how much more so for this little girl growing up in a country where women are marginalized and oppressed? She tells it better in her autobiography, but you already know it ends with her drinking coffee on the International Space Station. And it makes me wonder, because she followed her dream, little girls all over the world have been given opportunities that would never have happened. Because she followed her dream, she opened those doors. And it makes me wonder, what would happen if you followed your dream? I believe we each have a unique and important purpose to find and fulfill that will serve the world. But more importantly, we each have a vision in our head of how we think our life is going to turn out. That vision is powerful, but we choose it. Your non-conscious mind, the part that makes up over 95% of your brain, is working day and night to bring that vision into a reality. But we only have two resources to choose from when we're creating this vision: our memory or our imagination. As adults, we rely so heavily on our memory and everything we know to be true about what lies behind us. So we get in a rut and we recreate versions of the past. I should know, I created 7 pink Cadillacs. But if we're going to let our dream lead, we first need to imagine what it looks like. Only imagination allows us to explore the limitless possibilities that exist in the future. When people come into my office and have the courage to share their dream with me, they all inevitably ask me the same question. Do you think it's realistic? My answer is always the same. I certainly hope not. If you have an unrealistic dream, you are in great company. History is crowded with examples of ordinary people who had an extraordinary vision. Anusha Ansari, Albert Einstein, Nelson Mandela. They were normal people who had a big vision that existed in their imagination before anyone else saw it. And none of them were realistic. It wasn't long ago when cell phones and air travel seemed unrealistic. Even the man who first envisioned that we put wheels on our suitcases got laughed out of the boardroom. If you have an unrealistic dream, you will see it clearly before anyone else does, and it will not feel realistic. But what has our undying devotion to being realistic ever done for us but keep us playing small? As leaders, we can't afford to choose the status quo option. The world is crying out for leaders who can dream. And as crazy as it sounds, all of us could benefit by being a little less realistic. I'm not your fairy godmother, but you do have a choice. You can maintain the status quo, or join me on an adventure where we ignite your imagination and follow a dream that can reshape your life and might even change the world.
If you enjoyed this big talk, I would love to hear what your biggest takeaways were in the comments so we can fully support you. And if you desire to be on my big stage, head on over to thespeakersalon.com so that you can apply to come to New York City and take my stage where I will support you for 6 weeks. And remember, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, go ahead and hit the notification and subscription button so that you get access to all of our recent videos. Remember, your voice matters. Big love. Mwah.